it's Sean, isn't it?
It is Sean, yes.
Yeah, I'm glad because last time it wasn't confirmed who it'd be because last time I interviewed your drummer, who's he's a lovely bloke. That was good, and I was like, oh, I was happy because he's a he was a top man and easy to chat to, and I was like, if I get to speak to someone else, that'd be even better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Well, I'm glad to be here.
awesome, man. So how's it all going? Because there's obviously been you guys were out here in 23,
Yeah.
I think with Archspire, and that was yeah, that was a mad tour. That was really super enjoyable.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's been a bit going on in between. You released another album and now a new vocalist as well.
That's it. Yeah, the lineup's pretty much completely different at this point, but yeah, it's been a busy few years.
And how is the because obviously the other album Ashes Lie Still was a phenomenal album. I love that heaps, and then the tide of that was afterwards was awesome as well. So how's
Thank you.
that kind of progression kind of going as a band? Obviously, there's going to be new changes and new stuff happening
Yeah.
that we'll kind of dive into, but yeah, because you guys have always progressed. I think since the very start, haven't you? Really, it's never been dull.
Yeah, we've always had an extra tool to the toolbox, I guess you could say. Never been one to hammer the same thing over and over again. It's, I've said this before in other interviews that I respect bands that do stick to the guns and like their style. A band like the Black Dahlia Murder, the Camel Corpse. You know exactly what you're getting when you get a product from them. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's just I think you change as a person the older you get. I'm 20 years in the game now. I've been writing for this band for 20 years, probably longer at this point. So, your interests change, you listen to different things, you want to see what you can do musically and stuff like that. So yeah, you're right, there has been a progression in that respect. But I feel like a lot of bands at this point are hitting the same point where they want to, bring back the heavy again. And I feel like we're slipping back into that as well. It's the stuff that I'm listening to. It's like I'm digging back to the stuff I used to 20 years ago. A unit leader back catalogue of heavy brutal death metal bands and slam bands and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I guess was it a midlife crisis that you start, checking stuff out that you like when you were younger? I don't know.
I think the key thing is, you need progression to obviously keep it interesting for yourself, but
Yeah,
you don't want to kind of dilute it. We know, not shit canning bands, but there's a lot of big name bands that, as their catalog went along, you're just like going, oh God,
yeah,
as the next thing kind of comes out. So you're kind of a bit concerned what's going to come out. And other bands, they're never kind of some of the ones you mentioned, they've never eased off as well. Black
yeah,
Dahlia, Cannibal Corpse. It's never they've never kind of eased off the accelerator, even so I think, and certainly, the new single, it's of course it's still heavy, but
yeah.
there's a big slam element, and it really locks in that new vocalist. But yeah, it's pretty crushing. Like I didn't
Yeah.
expect it to be a Taylor Swift song or something, but it's not gonna it's not.
Well, if you look at the way the singles went, the single before that was the last track of the last album, which had me doing clean singing on it. So I guess a few months later, you get in the brand new tune. I suppose the shock there is probably quite high, but yeah, our new vocalist Josh, he's got that sort of style, and he's got multiple styles that does lend itself well to a heavier style. So it was naturally easy to just you know, pull on those retro abilities that we had back in the day,
Mm,
the heaviness, and just maybe just bring that back, but refine it a little bit because obviously we've got new members, we've got a new bass player, new guitarist,
mm.
they're all both very talented. So it's just all the three of us writing music, instrumentally, having fun. So yeah,
And so yeah, was that a bit of a like a obviously a super change, because from that kind of I suppose it's besides yourself and and the drummer, you've been there since the very start, so it's a huge change, what I mean, to bring that. So if it's now kind of cohesive, but still, it sounds like the songs you're writing are really, you know, they're progressive as we mentioned before, but it sounds like it's it's sparking an interest in keeping that kind of movement going. So it sounds,
Yeah.
like that's yeah, it's a big change.
It can be a big change, yeah. But one thing we did realize very quickly over the years is the songs that we enjoy playing live would always be, you know, things that sound like, Order of Flesh, that kind of pounding,
Yeah,
groovy style. I mean, we did a tour with Flesh God Apocalypse last year. We tried to do the single before, Our Path Once Lost, with the clean singing. We did it for one show and then got rid of it because it was just not the vibe, man. And as soon as we played this,
yeah,
yeah, I was like, yeah, this is not it, man. So we all kind of agree we want to tap into that a bit more, like the songs we like playing live in videos and Pending Dominance, the
yeah.
groovy stuff. It's like, why don't we just do some more like that? And then we've got all those heavy hitting bangers live, that we enjoy playing instead of just, hoping this one works or this one works. But stick to a formula that works for us and a formula that we enjoy.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I mean, I know, judging by, the shows in 23 in Oz, it was very fierce from start to end. There wasn't,
Yeah.
and that's what. And then, yeah, like you mentioned, and the new singer with Josh, yeah, and his work before is pretty phenomenal. So it was a pretty, it's a good match, not a like for like. It's kind of quite different, as you said, but yeah, his
Yeah.
previous work is pretty amazing. So,
He's
um,
very versatile with his style, so
yeah,
it's an interesting thing. He's obviously going to be different to our previous vocalist.
yeah,
It's a different person, but you can't you can't keep doing the same thing all the time. We're never going to get a match for match. And to be quite honest, we didn't want a match for match. We wanted someone who had other things to bring to the table. The different styles that we've not had before.
yeah,
You know, so it's interesting working that way, and it's interesting to see what he can do and how it works with us and stuff. So obviously we're in early stages. We've only got one song out of this lineup. We are currently writing new stuff, so it's kind of exciting.
How so? Yeah, obviously it's in the kind of the early stages of writing that, but so obviously the aim is like an album, and that is so is with the tour and stuff. Like how I know timescales are very hard, but how far away is there like an EP or an album? Do you think
Um,
It's a process, I know, man. It's not like you can't go, yeah, bang, bang,
the yeah, the aim is to record this year at some
yeah,
point. But I can almost guarantee there'll be more music before the end of the year.
yeah. And
That's that's for sure.
and do you feel the single was pretty well received? Like it's
I think it performed better once people had seen it live. I think the
yeah,
knee-jerk reaction of a complete new lineup change, a new vocalist. Oh, this is not the same. That's not as
yeah,
good. Blah 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 blah. You're never gonna fucking please everyone. Do you know what I mean? So it was what I expected. A lot of but that can be said with the internet, man. The most vocal people are the most negative people. I can't
yeah,
remember me really commenting on things, at any point in time. I'm sure there's a lot more people like me that are like, that's really good. And then they move on. You don't have to go, oh, this is shit or this is blah, blah, blah. So I think, I think there are people that are completely fine with the change.
mm,
But it seemed like the loudest were the smaller percentage, if you know what I mean. But as soon as we took that song out on the road and we got the feedback from, the fans in America, especially, they were like, this is fucking cool. So I'm like, all right, cool, let's go, you know?
yeah. I could see. I mean, I could easily see how it could fit in with like lots of of your kind of main songs, that you're playing in the set. It'd slot in quite easily. So that's
Yeah.
um, and obviously, yeah, he's obviously fitting in pretty well because it's so the shows have been going pretty well, pretty smooth.
Yeah, the tour was great, man. I mean, Josh, Josh's first show, he was filling in November. We did a show in Mallorca, and we wasn't really sure what was going on at that point. But he joined shortly afterwards, so we did some Christmas shows with him, which was his first proper shows, and then we did another one off in Portugal. Then we did a full proper tour. So he's getting in there, and it's working for him. It's a process for him as well because he's been on the road with us for 3 years, selling our merchandise and stuff. So he has been part of the
Oh
team.
wow,
Yeah, yeah. Josh has been with us, yeah, for I think the 4 years now, 3 or 4 years. So he's done a lot of touring with us. Obviously in a different role, a different capacity, but
yeah.
the responsibility's on his shoulders a little bit. But he's moving into the role really well, and he's finding his stride. I think give him another year, give him this time next year. He'll be fucking flying. It'll be like nothing had ever happened. You know, a new
Yeah.
album out, new music out. This is it. So yeah,
Yeah, because I mean, it's obviously you've got because you're obviously known him for a while. Because that was one of my questions to how you kind of met him, but obviously you've got that rapport and that, so that's kind of because that can be kind of an awkward thing. You can kind of get a new member of a band and how they slot in can be, there's lots of factors. Anyone that have been in bands knows that, like
well, this is partly why we picked him because we know how to live with him on the road. We know what his temperament's like. We know what his
yeah,
personality's like. We know how to work with him. He's obviously got the vocal talent now. So this is a no-brainer. Why would we not? Why would we spend a year, you know, trying to audition things to get a guy who doesn't gel with us on tour, and then it's another year, 6 months, whatever it is, rectifying that issue. It's like we know this guy can slot in and take the role quickly, and that's what you need in this game. It's like losing a member from an original member and a vocalist at that. You know what people like with vocalists? It's like fucking so
yeah,
precious, aren't they? Like it could be a guitar
yeah,
player's gone, don't give a shit. A vocalist
yeah.
is a big problem,
That's so
which I
true,
don't
isn't
understand,
it?
which I don't really get personally because everyone's as valuable as each other and whatever they bring to the project. But it was the right decision and the best decision and the quickest decision we could make without losing a step. You know.
Yeah, because you want to. I mean, yeah, because you've been around since is it 2006? Is that right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, you definitely don't that momentum. You don't want to kind of for that to disappear and that you've built on those solid albums and like a
yeah,
lot of live shows and that you just be like, well, it's not. It's definitely not the end. And like you said, what you kind of touched on before, it's like you know key members that write songs and all those kind of things, but it's it's like the end of the world travesty Armageddon if the fucking vocalist leaves, But it's like, hang on, he may not.
yeah. But people presume how the dynamics work of a band, and no one knows
Yeah,
our dynamic other than the people inside the circle. Yeah, I saw a lot of like flippant comments saying, the band's over. He was the band, and all this kind of thing. It's like you don't know the mechanics of
yeah,
Ingested. You don't know who writes the songs. I'm fucking still here, and I've been writing most of the shit for like 20 years now, and it's like the spine and the backbone of the band is still here. The drummer's
yeah,
still here. I mean, it's been me and Lynn predominantly writing music together for the last 4 years, and then in terms of lyrics and structures of songs and the way lyrics work, I've had a very heavy hand in that as well, which I'm sure people don't realize because no one fucking buys a CD anymore and looks, so you don't watch. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah, listen, like what they've been listening to for the last 4 years has been a lot of me and Lynn as well as Jason. Don't get me wrong, Jay did do some things, but
yeah.
you know, the two core writers or main core writers are still here, so it's like he's still going to get that flavor, that sound that we're
I mean,
known
you can
for.
definitely hear it in the music because the writing is I think it's like it's sensational. Like it's really good. Like it's really stand out. It's not like there's a lot of even in the kind of broad genre of say like deathcore and
Yeah,
slam and kind of that like there's some bands that they write to a formula and I know that can be good as we were saying before it can be familiar and that but it's also
yeah,
when you take just your last two albums it's there's not much basic about it like it's the
yeah,
themes and the tone and stuff about it it's it's fucking clever and you can tell you spent a lot of time so
yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah, some one thing I'm proud of is I like the way we structure albums. I like the way this the the order is, and I like having those kind of like moments because when I listen to music, it's intended to be the full piece, the full album, so start to finish. And if I as I would do as a listener, I'm writing as that's intended for people to hear the full thing, and hopefully they're getting peaks and troughs and interesting moments, and things that kind of stick out. So I am proud of that. So I do appreciate those comments.
yeah because it's really like even I know even mates bands and my own band and stuff like it's really the culture now is singles and like keep putting out individual songs and stuff but it's like it's kind of like almost no one's interested in listening to the album whereas like as we
Yeah,
know the structure of the album the flow and as you're talking about the peaks and troughs it's it's very important like it's not a what
yeah,
I mean it's not like a just to listen to the single or the video or whatever. But I mean, I know there's a big move about that now. You know, the
Well,
culture goes the other way, doesn't it?
it's the unfortunate climate we're in musically. People's listening attention spans is just fucking negative. So, you know, if you don't have a song that's fucking 2.5 minutes every 2 months, then people get bored, which is bizarre to me. This
Yeah,
generation, the generations below me confuse me. I can't really get my head around it. But listen, the record industry moves with what's going on in the climate, and
yeah,
unfortunately, having to release singles every couple of months is part of the job, and it's a shame. I hope the full length format doesn't completely disappear because it's something I've always enjoyed, and I think it's a good way to showcase a good amount of material, and you know you've got more room to work with. It's more exciting for me. But listen, if that's the way the music industry goes, then I guess we've got to follow. But until they tell me that albums aren't cool anymore, I'm going to keep writing albums. You know.
yeah, exactly. Um, so yeah, so you're keen to get back to Australia?
Yeah, it was a long time to get there. Um, it was a tough tour. I can let you know with that. That was a grueling tour, which is I suspect which is why it's shorter this time.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, it's cool. It's funny. The first time I got there and I actually experienced Australia for the first time, it was complete like UK America had just like ran into each other. It just
yeah,
popped out, and that was Australia. It was so fucking
yeah.
confusing. I was like, the people kind of like interact similarly to UK, but everything looks American. I was like, this is fucking crazy, man. But yeah, cool place.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's definitely a combination
Mm,
of both in good and bad ways. So
yeah,
yeah, but I know because you're showing Melbourne. I'm from Melbourne, and yeah, when you played with Werewolves as well,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, brutal band, and so that was a amazing show. So I think it'll be your tour will be very well received.
yeah.
I think it'll be great, and then I said as you said, we're looking forward to an EP or a recording, or at least something coming soon. So that's the and I mean it'd be good for Josh to put his mark on those songs anyway, won't it? That'll be
Yeah,
it'll be
yeah, of
like that's
course,
the mix of the old and the new. So
for
um
sure.
yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for your time because I know you got a super busy schedule. So yeah, I really look forward to it. What's coming next? As I said, congratulations on the body of work you've done so far. I love all of it.
Thank
I
you.
think it's very smart at the same time, brutal and crushing. And the new single's great. Like I think it's just it's pretty damn exciting about what's coming next. Um,
Fantastic.
and with the tour too. So yeah, look forward to seeing you guys again. It'll be awesome, man.
Pleasure, man. Thank you for your comments. Thanks for your time.
That's all right. Yeah, well, yeah, enjoy your work. So yeah, can't wait to see you guys again.
Amazing. I'll see you soon.
All right, man. See you soon. Take care. Cheers, buddy.
See you later.